What's up, everybody? It's Sue Hella Sensei Running. We're here with another episode. This is going to be a continuation of last week, or part two, where we covered the boys last week. This week, we're going to be covering some ranking shifts with the girls' side here in El Paso, and some interesting things have played out within the past couple of weeks. And one of the things that we'll jump right into is this past weekend, where we had the Cathedral Loreto Invitational, and then we had the El Paso High School Invitational. And some of the interesting things that I saw over this past weekend was some of the ranking shifts. You know, we saw Socorro girls get bumped down 2 spots. We saw Coronado get bumped down a spot. And this has really led to things kind of getting interesting as we get towards the midway mark of this 2025 season. And we'll jump right in. First group of girls that I want to talk about are the Hanks girls. This team goes from 6th to 5th overall, which shows that maybe they can make a push for, top 4, top 3 overall here in El Paso. And as far as 5A is concerned, I would say that this puts Hank's Varsity Girls team in first place effectively. And one of the things I want to talk about from performance-wise out of this past weekend is this girl that I've been high on all season long is Ashlyn McMillan. This girl continues to lead this team and effectively, pull them along and show them that this girl's got the attitude. She's got the drive to really get things going. And not only that, but she did take first place at the El Paso High Invitational. And important thing to note as we start to get into a little bit of these times here, that the course, I believe, measured at a 3.04, which if you're going to add a conversion to a legit 5K, you want to add, I want to say, roughly 30 to 35 seconds. So keep that idea of note. But she does it again. This girl has been running well all season long, and I think this performance effectively puts her at number 2 in the city, right behind Emily Orr for Franklin High School. And she had a great run. We did see a significant PR. She's gone from an 18:20 to a 17:34, which she did finish at. That was her first place finish at the El Paso High School Invitational. And I would say this roughly puts her at an 18:05 for a legit 5K. And still, we're looking at close to a 20-second PR. You can't deny that this girl has been working her butt off all season long. And, I was very high on this girl in this past track season 2024 season. And I think it's only going to get better when we see this girl go out, when she goes out and competes, at sea level. We see these big shifts. But not only that, I think what was interesting about this team for me was the 4 and 5 girl shakeup. We're seeing some massive improvements, just not in the front department of, this group of 5 girls, but we're seeing, that 4 and 5 that's getting shaken up, like I said, and we're seeing some big movements, big progression-wise out of this team, mid-season, which is what you want to be seeing as we start getting into the last phase of the season. And the Fino girls, we're seeing, again, some 30-second PRs out of them. Just to give you one of them, Melissa Fino, who was effectively the 4 girl, or number 2 girl, went from a 21:24 to a 20:55, which would equate to about a 21:30. So we're still seeing a PR, and we're showing some great depth going into some of the other runners that I'm going to talk about. Melody Lavadio and Emerald Lopez, we're seeing these girls really chunk down their times. One of the ones that I think we really need to look out for, which has now become their number 5 girl, which is Emerald Lopez. She went from a 23:10 to a 21:24, which with that conversion would still be sub 22. And that is exactly what you want to be seeing from your number 5 girl, which is, as we all know, one of the more crucial, the anchor of the team. We really need to see these girls tighten up this 1 through 5 pack, and we're seeing that right now. And especially when we see them go out of town and go compete, that we're going to be seeing more of a tight group, tight-knit pack from these girls. And I think that's going to really be effectively when these girls get to district and showcase that they're the number 1 5A team here in El Paso. You know, they need to have that type of unity, you know, going out to compete and be successful in regionals. So I was very impressed with this team and their performance this past weekend. And it brings their team average down effectively close to 30 seconds. Their 1 through 5 split is down almost a minute. Impressive stuff. You know, even with the conversion, we see what they're starting to do in a 1 through 5 group. And seeing that type of 4 through 5 shift shows that this team is starting to develop some depth. And when you get to these big time races like regionals, you need to have that type of depth where, let's say, one girl's performance doesn't come out the way you want it, you have these other girls that can kind of slide into that spot and fill these gaps where you need it. So I'm really excited to see where this girls team, Hank's girls team, ends up come season's end. And next, we're going to shift to the Americas girls. I talked to their coach a little bit, and he says that they're starting to fire on the cylinders that they've been wanting out of this girls team as of late. And one of the things that impressed me was the emergence of Isabel Bali. And we didn't see Carly Day run this past weekend, which has been effectively their number 1 runner. But Isabel came out and led this team to a great performance at the El Paso Cross Country Invitational this past weekend. And we're seeing a lot of great performances out of them. One of the big ones is Regina Perez, who her PR is a 26:09, chunked her time down to a 23:48. And that would still, with the conversion, put it, you know, at a low 24, which is huge, and what you want to be seeing from this, you know, this 5A division. They are effectively 5A. You know, they moved down last year, and we're starting to see them get more opportunities in that division, and it is effectively putting them second place for 5A girls here in El Paso. So you want to see this type of close competition, not just in the 6A division, but you love to see it, you know, as we trickle down to the other divisions. And it's going to make things interesting for El Paso because, you know, America's girls, where last year they weren't anywhere where I would say that they're at right now, this is effectively going to give them a good push to get into the regional scene. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. And then you throw Carly Day back into the mix, it's going to really make this team a lot more effective and more efficient, you know, through that 1 through 5 punch. So that is one team that you definitely need to look out for in the coming weeks. And we're going to backtrack a couple weeks now because I want to talk about the Franklin girls and their performance at the South Lake 5K Invitational. I didn't talk about it last week because we were talking about the boys, but let's get into it. What I think is so important about, you know, the times that we saw out of this girls team is this is going to give us an accurate depiction of what we can expect from them when they move down to sea level and they start competing out in regionals and you know, out in Lubbock, and then when they go out to hopefully state, you know, at Austin come season end. But we saw a lot of huge jumps, a lot of huge times chunked off. Let's go ahead and get into Emerith Chaparro Chavez. Ran a 20 flat, which is a 40-second PR time from her first race there at Canartillo. And, you know, every single one of these girls, minus Emily, saw huge PRs. And where I'm not too worried about not seeing a huge PR to Emily because she's got the, you know, elite race experience. This girl is a natural-born leader, and she shows it, you know, when she races and she pulls this team. But we're starting to see their overall time get chunked down. It's now down to a 19:21 average and down to 1:59 1 through 5 split. So we're seeing this team really develop into an effective girls team here in the city of El Paso. And what does that mean statewide? Statewise, they're still ranked 17th overall, but a lot can change, you know, with a little more than half of the season to go. I would still expect to see that chunk down, and I do think that they have a legit shot at state, but they need to be continuing on to this type of progression that we're seeing from this team overall. And so that's going to be really exciting. And another thing I want to point out is this Eastwood girls team. They went out last weekend and ran at the Cathedral and Loretto Invitational, where I did get the mark for this. It was a legit 5K. And we're seeing the progression from this girls team without any lower elevation running. They do run in 2 weeks out in Arizona. They're going to be at the Desert Twilight Invitational, so that is going to be really telling to see what the ceiling can be for this girls team. But already with this past weekend of performances, they're top 10 in the state of Texas. They're now marked at 8th overall, or for 6A girls, which is huge. They're still continuing their dominance for the city of El Paso, and some of the great things that I saw out of this was 2 girls, Natalia and Carly Caraveo, both seeing incredible PRs showing that they can solidify themselves as the number 2 and number 3 girl. But what I thought was more impressive was, a breakout performance from Venus Jimenez coming in and sliding into that number 5 role with a minute plus PR this past weekend, which, we're starting to see depth out of this team that's already been destroying the running scene here in El Paso. And what I love about this team is that they're going to go out and challenge themselves again. They're not content, being, at the top here in El Paso. And so we're going to have a showdown again. It's going to be the 3rd time that we're going to see Franklin and Eastwood compete against one another this Friday at the Franklin Invitational. So you definitely want to keep an eye out for that. And this is the kind of competition that we need in El Paso. We need to make sure that we're continuing the integrity of these meets by mapping them out and making them more 5K viable, which only improves the rankings for these athletes. So that's what I would like to see in these coming weeks as we get ready to close out the 2025 season. And this type of competition where we see the best race against one another consistently is what I would like to see. So I'm excited for this Friday. You all should be too. Again, if you have any suggestions, comments, or maybe I missed somebody that you feel needs the spotlight, leave a comment down below in the comment section. And don't forget to hit that subscribe. So a lot of great stuff coming up. I'm excited to get into next week's discussion where we'll start getting into some of the lower classmen and giving them some of the spotlight too. So keep an eye out for episode 5. And you all have a nice week. See you soon.